The Detroit Lions are aiming to be the Bengals of 2022. Hello, everyone. My name is Derek, and welcome to Detroit Lions Syndicate. If you are new to this channel, we talk all things about the Detroit Lions. So if that's your type of thing, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. The purpose of the notification bell is to put those videos in your notification feed. Being Detroit Lions fans, we are no strangers to what it feels like to be losers, what it feels like to be at the bottom of the NFL. But it's not just our franchise that has been through that. There are a few statistics that every Lions fan knows. One of those is that out of the 32 NFL teams, 4 of them have never been to a Super Bowl, and our Detroit Lions are one of them. The others being the Cleveland Browns, the Houston Texans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2 expansion teams. 12 teams have never won a Super Bowl. The Lions, of course, are in that category as well, but you know who else is in it? The Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals have appeared 3 times. I think it was twice in the 80s, and then last year when they were just 4 points away from hoisting their first Lombardi Trophy. But what's the connection between the Detroit Lions of 2022 and the Cincinnati Bengals of 2021? In 2020, the Cincinnati Bengals had the first overall pick selecting Joe Burrow, the quarterback out of LSU. The very next year, they select top 10. They take Jamar Chase, a receiver out of LSU, Joe Burrow's former teammate. The very next year, the Cincinnati Bengals reached the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that the Detroit Lions are going to win the Super Bowl this year or going to make the Super Bowl this year. What I'm saying is that nobody paid attention to the Bengals as they were building their roster primarily through the draft. And after 2 consecutive top 10 picks, the Bengals began to make some noise. If you don't know this, the Detroit Lions' last 4 picks have all been in the top 10. We picked TJ Hockenson in 2019. We took Jeff Okudah in 2020, Penei Sewell in 2021, and Aiden Hutchinson in 2022. 4 consecutive years of top 10 picks. But I think this is the year that the Detroit Lions break that cycle of picking in the top 10. And we've talked about all season long how the national media and the national narrative is beginning to change about the Detroit Lions. But is it possible that the Detroit Lions could be under the radar like the Cincinnati Bengals were last year? Nobody expected the Cincinnati Bengals to reach the Super Bowl this time last year. That was not a thing. It was the Kansas City Chiefs, other AFC powerhouse teams. And the Cincinnati Bengals came and they wiped all of those guys out. Look at the teams that they beat on their way to the Super Bowl. They beat the Las Vegas Raiders, they beat the Tennessee Titans, and they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 of those 3 teams are absolute AFC powerhouses. But I saw an article today from NFL.com that I will link in the description about how the Detroit Lions are resembling the 2021 Cincinnati Bengals. It's easy to get swept up by the Detroit Lions right now, given the team's appearance on HBO's Hard Knocks and its amiable quote machine of a head coach. But beyond the entertainment factor, there is something happening around the organization that legitimately feels like optimism. It's the type of energy that goes unnoticed for people who don't see the daily operation up close or who justifiably maintain skepticism about a franchise that has rarely qualified for the postseason. The Lions have established some key benchmarks that factor into success, including belief, hunger, and commitment. This year, they might have just enough talent to turn those traits into vast improvements. We're on a path where we feel like we can make some noise, second-year wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown said. The Lions organization has been an underdog for a long time, but organizations can flip around quick. Look at the Bengals. Last year, they went to the Super Bowl, and the year before that, they were at the bottom of the league. All it takes is a few guys to buy in. This is a critical point to remember. Nobody was talking about the Bengals doing what they ultimately did at this stage last season. They blossomed because of combined game-changing talent with a smart, young head coach and never once let their history dictate their future. They built their success while everyone else was chuckling and dismissing them, and nearly snagged their first Lombardi Trophy in the process. We are aligned in terms of what we want this thing to look like, Lions general manager Brad Holmes said. It's about grit. And when you talk about grit, it's about how much longer you can go than your opponent. It's not just duration. It's how much stronger you can be. How much more physical can you be? It's willpower. We played so many young guys last year. We had to go through those growing pains and take those lumps. Now we're expecting a year or two leap from these guys. Are we saying that the Detroit Lions are going to make the Super Bowl this year? No. Some of us say that every year. The realistic Lions fans don't say that every year. And a big part of that is the history behind the team. But I've said this many times in my videos that this year, this regime feels a lot different. From the end of last year to going into the offseason this year, this whole team feels a lot different. And it's hard for us, the fan, to buy in when we repeatedly see the same thing over and over. Back in 2019, when I first started making YouTube videos about the Detroit Lions, one of the arguments that I used to have with other YouTubers is you can't call it the past if the past is still the present. And what I mean by that is if the team is doing the same thing, if they're drafting the same type of people, if they're picking up the same type of people in free agency and the results are the same, it's the past is essentially the present. The same things are happening. But we can all attest to the fact that this year, this regime, this whole thing feels different. If you think about the Matt Patricia years, the Matt Patricia years were in essence a purge. He purged out Jim Caldwell's people. He brought in 18 of his own guys. He got rid of Quandre Diggs, Golden Tate, Darius Slay. And he purged this team, made it what it was, at the bottom of the barrel. And now Dan Campbell, his quotes, his attitude, being a former player, he is bringing something that the Lions have not had in a long time. When was the last time a former player was the coach of the Detroit Lions? Leave it in the comments below. And the Detroit Lions are buying in to Dan Campbell. That's something we can say that they did not do with Matt Patricia. Tracy Walker came out a few days ago and said if Matt Patricia was still the coach of this team, he would not have re-signed here as a Detroit Lion. Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes is changing the culture. It was hard for me to accept initially the Jameson Williams pick, and it's unfortunate that he is not going to be able to play for the first third of the season. But when we do get him back, he could be on the trajectory of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. And honestly, I think the Bengals were a little more under the radar, especially how Jamar Chase was dropping passes in the preseason. Then he came out and broke the rookie record for receiving yards and took his team to the Super Bowl. So maybe we don't need Jameson Williams a whole year. Something is definitely changing in the Detroit Lions organization. And I think we're going to be an underdog this year. I think in the next 2 or 3 years, the Bengals, we're going to be like the Bengals. The Bengals are no longer under the radar. They are on everybody's radar. They have to be. Kansas City is taking notice. Buffalo's taking notice. There are teams that are taking notice of the Cincinnati Bengals. That will probably be the Detroit Lions in the next 2 years. We have the Matthew Stafford pick next year in the first round, and we've seen Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell work their magic. We will have to get some defense for sure, and we also have a pretty decent free agency coming. DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel will be off the market, but that's okay. Maybe we don't even go for one of those guys. But the point is, the Detroit Lions are now under the radar, and if the Cincinnati Bengals can do it, now granted, they have a lot more talent than we do at this point, but if they can do it, we can make vast improvement from the 2021 season. Leave it in the comments below. What would you call a vast improvement? For me, it's 9 wins. We have an easier schedule for the first time in a long time. The NFL granted us an easier schedule. I think we have to take advantage of that. If you look at last year, we were 2-5-1 in one-score games. And it's about 4 or 5 games that literally could have been flipped any other way. But that's the nature of the game. Just like we won by 1 point on one play in the preseason game last week, we lost by the same type of scenario last year. So for me personally, I would love to see 9 wins, at the very least 7, so that way we can get rid of the Matt Patricia stench. It was something I was hoping Dan Campbell was able to do his first year as head coach, do something Matt Patricia never did, which is win 7 games. So leave your thoughts down in the comments below. My name is Derek. This is Detroit Lions Syndicate. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if this is not your first time here. We make videos almost every day about the Detroit Lions, and the season is rapidly approaching, so you don't want to miss any content coming from this channel. And help us get to 5K, which is our goal, by September 11th. That would be much appreciated. One last thing. How far under the radar do you think the Detroit Lions are for the 2022 NFL season? Let me know down below. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself. And as always, go Lions.